Strzokowski, behalf of the people.
On behalf of the people, the defendant comes before you with 4 prior felonies and 4 prior misdemeanors. And I guess when I look at the pre-sentence investigation, which I believe is accurate and very complete, I think of history. History is an indicator of things. Doesn't mean that people can't change, but it is an indicator of behavior. So I look at things and I say, okay, so as a juvenile, he was involved in the system, and I understand what Ms. Weisenbach had said. Part of it was he took his mother's car, caught it on fire, jumped out of it, broke his wrist. In what we have now, he ran from the police, that would be Officer McGrath, when he was told to stop, and broke his wrist. Then we have from him being assaultive as a juvenile. The court had sentenced him to 2 years, 9 months, which is pretty significant when we talk about some of the crimes of domestic violence. Because of the strangulation, you put your hands on somebody's neck to restrict their breathing. And the court rightfully had sent him to prison for that. That's an indicator. And then we have a domestic violence third here, which, from the past. What he said to the people from Continental Rental, I mean, that's not acceptable at all. And then I looked at his past record from Wyoming, Michigan concerning leaving. He had cut his tether at one point in time. Here, he didn't cut his tether on the tampering. What he did was he had the V-check on his phone. He just deleted the app so that he couldn't be tracked by anybody. With all that being said, our concern really, quite frankly, is, as it was brought up earlier, he has a lot of anger issues, and somebody may look at him wrong, somebody may say something wrong. Well, the response is going to be something pretty violent. And so because of that, we asked to adopt the recommendations as they relate to the domestic violence third, as well as all the other crimes. We believe that we're at a point now where it's just protection of society. We ask you to protect society.
June Van Houten.
Good morning, Ms. Van Houten. What would you like to tell the court?
I would like to actually tell the court that, yes, he might have anger issues, and it's understandable considering the past, but he is a very kind and caring person to my family, to me, to my daughter, and the fact that all you guys hear is the negative, it's not all that. He is very responsible at home, and the fact that he helps out when out without even being asked to do things. He helps me with my mental status. I'm sorry. I am bipolar and schizophrenic. He helps me through that. And without him being around, it's difficult. And
Would you like to have a seat? You can have a seat if that would help.
And the fact that not having him around, it is very difficult. I'm going through a lot of problems with my ex and being around. I've already talked to the police officers about it. And even though he's in jail, he's still helping me out. And I wish that everybody would see that. Inside the letter that I put, he's helped my mother getting back and forth to doctor's appointments because she had to get surgery on her eyes. And he's also helped take my daughter back and forth to work, to school. And even, I know for a fact, even though he has problems with his wrist now, once he gets out, he's still going to help out. And I just wish that there was other ways of helping him instead of just sending him to prison or keeping him in jail.
Thank you. Before the court is a 30-year-old man, 4 prior felonies, 4 prior misdemeanors, high school graduate, excuse me, and comes before the court with rather serious felonies. Domestic violence, 3rd, a hate crime, absconding, 2 separate counts, tampering with an electronic device, resisting obstruction. And on one hand, the court has to consider the defendant's history, his juvenile record, his upbringing, which is all part of the pre-sentence report, and to say that Mr. Cook was wrongly treated in his youth would be an understatement. It is an understatement. And as a result of that, sadly, we are the products of our environment. That is our upbringing, that is how we learn things and how we cope with things. And so the court clearly understands the prior history, and also considering the upbringing and all of that when trying to fashion an appropriate sentence. Of course, there's the other side of the story. And the old saying is, basically, 2 wrongs do not make a right. And clearly, Mr. Cook was wronged when he was much younger in his upbringing. And the court is aware of the sentence that was previously imposed for the strangulation conviction, which was significant, but under the facts and circumstances of the case, it was warranted. And here, the ultimate goal is, if you go to prison, for instance, is that a part of rehabilitation? Do you learn from that and say, look, I just don't want to engage in this behavior again? And sure, there may be programs available within the Department of Corrections relative to rehabilitative programs, and the court, when fashioning a sentence, would strongly encourage the department to see what programs may be available for individuals like this, considering the mental health and considering the prior history and upbringing. But as I've stated, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And in this case, at least on the domestic violence 3rd, as the court understands it, the defendant had killed a bird. Significant other went to tend or go to the bird. The defendant pushed the victim into a stove, injury, police called, etc. The second case, racial statements that the defendant would shoot the victim, a dumb N, beat his A, and F him up. And when you look at the scales of justice, she's blind. She's blindfolded for a reason. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, whatever your background. Doesn't matter if you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, or no faith, or you're red, green, brown, yellow, or it does not matter. We're all human beings, and we need to treat each other that way. I think our society clearly shows that right now, that we're not doing that. And so when these statements are made to an individual who's merely doing his job, there's no justification or excuse for it. And then what happens when, basically paying the fiddler here, so to speak, defendant fails to appear, absconds, tampers with his tether device, takes the app off the phone, and then when confronted by police, resists and obstructs. I believe they found him underneath a bridge. It's where they found him at the end of the day. So clearly, one side of this is the upbringing, history, the court understands that, but on the other side is, wait a second, what's going on here? And what's going on here, sadly, is an individual that, in some respects, does need some help. but he has to pay Piper here for the crimes he's committed, which are significant. Guideline range scores that the court has considered are appropriate. Domestic violence 19 to 57, hate crime 7 to 34, the absconding first 12 to 36, second 12 to 48, and then finally resisting and obstructing 7 to 46. Will be the sentence of this court in 7345 FH that the defendant be committed to the Michigan Corrections Commission and placed in their custody for a period of 4 years to 10 years. Credit for 79 days previously served. Crime victims assessment of $130 will be imposed. Attorney fees are waived. $68 in state costs will be ordered. 7386 will be the sentence of this court. Defendant be committed to the Michigan Corrections Commission, placed in their custody for a minimum of 2.5 years to 4 years. Credit for 68 days served. Restitution to Continental Rental in the amount of $3,551.37. The defendant is to execute a wage assignment to pay that if he's employed and misses 2 regularly scheduled payments. Crime victims assessment of $130. Attorney fees in all the files are waived. $68 in state costs will be ordered. 7387 will be the sentence of this court. Defendant be committed to the Michigan Corrections Commission, placed in their custody for a period of not less than 2 years to a maximum of 8 years, credit for 73 days previously served. Crime victims assessment of $130, state cost of $68. 7419, absconding on bond, second count for the second charge. Sentence will be 2 to 15 years, credit for 66 days served with $130 to crime victims assessment and $68 in state cost. Count 2, tampering with electronic monitoring device, 365 days in the county jail, credit for 66 days previously served. $68 in state costs will be ordered. Finally, resisting and obstructing a police officer. Sentence of 2 years to 15 years, credit for 66 days previously served. Restitution to Deputy McCardle in the amount of $54.79. Total restitution is going to be $643.23. And to the sheriff's office, I believe this was their damaged body cam, $588.44. That would be the Bad Axe Police Department. So $54.79, sheriff's office, $588.44, Bad Axe. Defendant is to execute a wage assignment to pay restitution if he is employed and misses 2 regularly scheduled payments. Crime victims assessment of $130 and $68 in state costs will be ordered. All of these matters shall run concurrently with each other. My duty to inform the defendant he has right to seek leave to appeal if he's financially able.